Think about the stuff you own: your phone, the clothes you're wearing, maybe even the coffee in your mug. Ever wonder how it all got to you? Well, chances are it traveled on a gigantic container ship through a really narrow stretch of water called the Red Sea. But right now, that vital artery of global trade is under attack, and the shockwaves, well, they're being felt everywhere. Let's break down exactly what is going on and why this matters to every single one of us. And this right here, this is ground zero for the crisis. What you're looking at is a map of recent attacks by Houthi militants. You can see they're all clustered in this one critical choke point, the el-Mandeb Strait. This isn't some vast open ocean, it's a tiny bottleneck. And as this map makes crystal clear, it has become one of the most high-risk zones for international shipping on the entire planet. All right, so first up, we're going to get into the who, what, and where of all this. We'll look at the group that's behind these attacks, what's motivating them, and why this very specific strip of water is such a linchpin for the global economy. So the key term you gotta know here is choke point. And it's exactly what it sounds like. I mean, think of a massive 6-lane highway during rush hour. If there's one little blockage, the entire system just grinds to a halt, right? Well, the Red Sea route, which feeds into the Suez Canal, is one of the world's most critical maritime choke points. And when we say critical, we are not kidding. Just look at these numbers. A full 12% of all global trade passes through here. 30%, that's nearly a third of all container traffic. We're talking your electronics, your furniture, everything. And that's not even getting into the massive slice of the world's energy and food supply. This isn't just a shipping lane, it's an economic lifeline. So who's causing all this disruption? It's a group known as the Houthi movement in Yemen. Now, publicly, their stated goal is to show solidarity with Palestinians in Gaza by putting pressure on Israel and its allies. But, analysts point out that there are probably deeper strategic goals at play here. This Iran-backed group is also using these attacks to get more leverage in Yemen's own civil war and, frankly, to boost their position on the world stage. So what happens when a critical artery like this gets blocked? Well, shipping companies have no choice but to take a detour, a massive detour. And as we're about to see, it's one of the longest, most expensive detours in the world. And wow, this map just lays out the logistical nightmare perfectly. That top line, that's the normal route through the Suez Canal, about 8,500 nautical miles. The bottom line, that's the detour, all the way around the Cape of Good Hope in Africa, a journey of 12,000 nautical miles. That adds thousands of miles, anywhere from 10 to 20 extra days of travel, and, you guessed it, huge fuel costs. And the result is right here in the data. This chart shows the dramatic outcome of that big detour. Traffic through the Suez Canal has basically fallen off a cliff. It's plummeted by 50%. And at the exact same time, traffic all the way around the Cape of Good Hope has surged by nearly 75%. It's like the entire flow of global trade has been rerouted in just a few months. Now, all this logistical chaos, as you can imagine, comes with a staggering price tag. So let's follow the money to see who's really paying for this disruption, from the big corporations all the way down to entire countries. Let's just start right here. The cost to ship a single container has, on average, skyrocketed by 200%. And on some key routes, like from Shanghai to Europe, it's actually more than tripled. That's a cost that doesn't just disappear. It eventually gets passed down to you, the consumer. Okay, now let's zoom in and see the impact on a single country. For a nation like Italy, which depends so heavily on Mediterranean trade, this is a massive, massive blow. A staggering 148 billion euros of its annual trade is now at risk. We're talking about something that threatens its entire manufacturing and export economy. And of course, the country that's getting hit the hardest is Egypt. The Suez Canal is a primary source of its national income. It brings in over $9 billion a year. But with traffic cut in half, its revenue has been absolutely decimated, pushing an already fragile economy to go looking for an emergency bailout from the IMF. Now, when you're faced with a crisis of this scale, you would probably expect a unified global response, right? Well, what we're actually seeing is something way more complicated, something that really reflects the geopolitical fractures of our time. And this is the crucial point. There are two main military missions out there, but they have very different rulebooks. The U.S.-led Operation Prosperity Guardian has an offensive mandate. They are conducting airstrikes on Houthi targets inside Yemen. But in contrast, the EU's Operation Aspis is strictly defensive. It's only designed to protect ships at sea.
This split really highlights a fundamental disagreement among Western allies on the best way to deal with the threat.
Italy's Minister of Defense put it very bluntly. Because here's the thing, the Houthi attacks seem to be selectively targeting Western-linked ships, while reportedly letting Chinese or Russian vessels pass through unharmed. This creates a really uneven playing field. So this isn't just random piracy, it's a form of what's called asymmetric economic warfare, where rivals like China and Russia could actually gain an advantage. This crisis isn't just some temporary headache. It's forcing a fundamental, top-to-bottom rethink of the global supply chains we've all relied on for decades. So let's look at the long-term changes this could all trigger. For years, the mantra of global business has been just-in-time delivery, keeping inventory super low and relying on hyper-efficient, totally predictable shipping. But this crisis has exposed the profound vulnerability of that whole model. So the question is it time for a completely new approach? And right now, in boardrooms all around the world, a new playbook is being written. Instead of focusing only on efficiency, the new goal is resilience. Companies are now seriously considering reshoring or nearshoring production just to shorten those long supply lines. And they're building up stockpiles, basically creating a buffer so that the next choke point crisis doesn't bring their entire business to a grinding halt.
And so we are left with this critical question. For decades, we built this incredibly interconnected world based on one big assumption, that the seas would always be safe and open for business. But as this crisis shows, that assumption is fragile. The very system that brought us all this unprecedented efficiency might actually be our greatest vulnerability now. So what's the right balance between cost, speed, and security? That's what the entire world is trying to figure out right now.